Here at 5 o'clock, there is a large police presence at UMass Boston right now, where there are unconfirmed reports of a shooting on campus. At this time, there are no reports of anyone actually being shot or any arrests. People are being told to stay away from that area.
UMass Boston alerted late this afternoon of a possible threat near the Residence Hall East building. And you can see the crowd gathered outside right now. Police say they're working to clear all of the buildings in that area to be safe. Police say they're also coordinating with campus partners at UMass Boston to make sure that the students there are safe, that the faculty and the staff members are also in a safe location. We have a crew at the scene right now that's just starting to set up and gathering information. And as we get new information from them, we will bring it to you. But we do want to give you a sense right now in this live picture what they're dealing with on campus and the law enforcement response after the initial reports of shots fired came in.
We've heard people on social media saying that they were on Morrissey Boulevard, which obviously is very close to UMass Boston, when police cars just started screaming past with their sirens blaring, all headed for campus. Most of them are parked outside of this particular building. We've seen a large armored SWAT vehicle, but as you can tell, right outside of the entrance of this East building, this East Residence Hall, police are standing by, SWAT is standing by. They seem to be very calm, standing and talking to each other, police guarding the front door there, but no signs of any panic whatsoever. For the most part, over the past half hour, we've seen this, which is a lot of students standing outside very calmly, waiting for word that hopefully things are clear and everybody's safe.
And we hope that that continues to set the tone. WBZ's Brandon Truitt just arrived at the scene at UMass Boston. He joins us now live. Brandon, what are you seeing on campus?
Yeah, Lisa, David, we got here in the last 5 minutes, and we're here at the entrance of the school itself. As we are here just right on Morrissey Boulevard. You can see also in the distance the cop cars, police, state police, local police who have lined up, and a lot of people just sitting there on the guardrail. You were talking about the tone around here. I've not seen anyone running. People seem very calm as well, just following instructions as they are evacuating this area. If we go overhead and just show you more of that video from Sky Eye, what we understand is that state police were given, and we want to be careful with our language, those unconfirmed reports of a shooting. That's what's caused this response. I did message with someone who works on this campus, not with the school, but with another company. They were told to shelter in place. You have different organizations, different companies responding to this in real time as best they can. Ultimately, though, I want to talk to some students here and just see what they experienced, what they heard, and hope to bring that to you as soon as I can, guys.
And Brandon, really quickly, one thing I find interesting and heartening is the fact that there are phrases that they are not using. In other words, they're calling it a public safety alert. Just to be perfectly clear, they haven't said anything about an active shooter. What they said instead was that they got one single 911 call about the possibility of a shooting, that someone heard shots fired, but all of that is still unconfirmed. It sounds like, from what you're saying, they're not really letting people in, but we did point out that this is 90% commuters at UMass Boston, and it appeared behind you that they're at least allowing students to leave. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what's happening, and they're all the way down Morrissey to the JFK UMass Red Line stop. If you're familiar with the area, the whole trek here is lined with students and staff who are leaving the campus. And I have to say, despite the one phone call, the sheer level of the response to this is quite breathtaking. It was hard for us to get even this close, just because of the police that are surrounding this entire campus, even over to the JFK Presidential Library. The entire area is really closed off there. So they certainly are taking this seriously, despite the tone of the people around us who seem to be on their phones. They're texting people. No one's really running here. But the level of response is worth noting as well.
Really important. All right, Brandon Truitt live there at UMass Boston for us. Brandon, thank you. As you get more information, we'll be sure to come back to you. Thank you for that live report. You're going to be able to see the chaotic scene, though, in those initial moments in this video from a woman who posted on TikTok. You can hear a siren. You can also hear some someone on a loudspeaker announcing a UMass Boston alert. And then you see the students running out of a building. The woman who's shooting this eventually jumps into a car there to get away from the scene. But just to reiterate, as David mentioned a moment ago, this is being characterized right now as a public safety alert. An incredible police response to the campus at UMass Boston after that 911 call came in of shots fired. But right now, we're not seeing any frantic activity. It seems quite quiet at the moment.
And that frantic moment that we saw in that piece of video, just a sad thing to see. Students going to school today, they're doing their thing, and suddenly they're running. And you know, in that moment, they think that they're running for their lives because of things like we saw yesterday on a campus in Utah. And what we're seeing right now, though, is, as you mentioned, anything but frantic. You have just, it seems like dozens of police, EMS, firefighters, SWAT, all located across campus, mainly outside of that East Residence Hall, but very calm. We're seeing no one running, no one moving, but we're also not seeing any students going back into the buildings yet, so obviously police are not entirely comfortable with moving to the next step there.
Yep. And where calm is not the operative word, I think, David, to your point, is how people feel right now. The environment that exists, not just on college campuses, but after the shooting of Charlie Kirk, the fatal shooting yesterday, there is this heightened sense of awareness, of these reports on campus, and just hearing the words attached to that 911 call, even if you're not near or on that campus, gives you a sense of, if nothing else, mild panic. I mean, the idea of that alarm, I think we are all right now extremely sensitive to reports of potential violence, someone with a firearm, what might happen, because unfortunately we have seen what can happen when someone has a mission to carry out violence. And we're not seeing that here at UMass Boston. What we are seeing is a police response that we hope can neutralize the situation and will get back to us with an all clear very soon.
And one of the reasons why we're staying with this, we want you to see that it is calm. You hear reports that something might be happening, perhaps at one of your children's college. Of course, it is just absolute panic time for a lot of people. We want you to see that things are calm there, that police are being very clear, that it's still unconfirmed. They actually use the phrase single 911 call, so this is not a situation in which suddenly students were flooding 911 with calls. There are no videos out on social media where people are saying that they saw something happening. But again, police train for these things. That training is basically kept sharp at all times because they never know what they're going to sort of head into. And sadly, the students go through training as well. As early as elementary school, both of my boys are still in elementary school, and they still do these Alice drills. So you have well-trained children, although in this case, most probably in their early 20s, and well-trained police as well. And so far, everything is calm.
And this is important information. All classes at UMass Boston tonight are canceled. This is certainly a disruption. It's largely a commuter school, so you have a lot of people coming in from the surrounding area. The parking lots are typically full. The surrounding streets and some of those busy areas like Morrissey Boulevard, a lot of traffic on a normal day anyway. That is choked right now, and while there are people who are able to leave the campus, police are asking, if you can, avoid this area, avoid Morrissey Boulevard, because getting around right now is really challenging.
And if you've been in that area, you know Morrissey Boulevard is right along the Southeast Expressway, and if you know Boston traffic, it's all going to start to affect each other. We can go back to Brandon Truitt now, who is on campus. And Brandon, I understand you just spoke with a UMass Boston student.
Yeah, I was speaking with a couple who say they got no official word to leave here, but what happened is people just saw the sheer level of the response that we were talking about earlier and decided to start leaving, and some of them grew panicked in seeing the response and started running out and evacuating. I was just speaking with a freshman who's still learning the campus. They've only been here for a matter of days, who says that they ultimately were studying, heard the sirens come up and started talking with other friends, and then they started getting emails from the university university, warning them of this situation that was being investigated. These are the same things that the communications we get that the university has been tweeting out as well, but that ultimately a lot of these students were talking to each other and decided to leave the building, and then once they got outside, law enforcement told them to head toward the entrance. So a lot of them were running, but they said they looked at the police officer's demeanor, and that ultimately told them that they could continue to walk to the entrance here. Now, some folks do live here, although a lot of them are commuters, and the freshmen that I was just speaking with live on campus. They're not sure, obviously, when they can get back. I was telling them this is incredibly active. It's going to be a minute. But you could just tell by their tone that they were relieved. They said they were scared at first. They were obviously thinking about things that happened yesterday in Utah, one of them brought up. So certainly heightened emotions here and people just trying to look out for one another.
Brandon, have they had any other communication after that initial moment with police officers, or are they just essentially waiting there now with other students to see what happens next?
Right, so it seems to be a lot of waiting and people trying to figure out exactly what's going on, but what they were told by police were to head to the entrance and to head off of campus, and that's what some have done. What it appears to have happened even since we've been here for the last 10 minutes or so is police are tightening their perimeter closer to campus, meaning where we're at here on Morrissey, a lot of those resources have moved in. So some are starting to walk back, as you're seeing in the distance, onto campus, but they're ultimately going to be stopped by another police perimeter that's just ahead. Make of that what you will, but there are changing resources here, or at least where they're focusing their attention.
All right, Brandon Truitt there live on campus. Brandon, let us know if we need to come back to you for more information. These are live pictures right now from Sky Eye of everything that's happening there. Lisa mentioned a moment ago the classes tonight at UMass Boston have been canceled. They are sort of in that time period now where people who are studying during the day kind of switching over to those night classes, people who are getting their masters or going there for their MBA, told to stay home tonight. People who may travel in that area told to stay away as well.
And that's part of what makes this campus a little bit more active and a little different from some of the other campuses in our area. This is one of those campuses where the classes are really underway from relatively early in the morning into the evening, and a lot of them. And so at this point, the school is trying to get the word out to a lot of people that this is not where you want to be tonight. If you've got some kind of a class, it's canceled. And they're undoubtedly going to be saying, stand by, we'll let you know where things stand for Friday. But it is one of those campuses that gets an awful lot of use. It's also very close to the JFK Library. You have the Ted Kennedy Center for the U.S. Senate there, and a lot of businesses right there on Morrissey Boulevard. I mean, this is a really busy area. And so as police are working to make sure that it's secure, there are also public safety needs on the perimeter as well. So by locking this down, they are relying on that training that you mentioned, David, that really has become a hallmark of law enforcement in this area and was on full display, we saw successfully after the marathon bombing.
Yeah, I think we have a ground shot we can show you now, too, of some of the students as they were leaving the buildings today. In this particular image, more police. This is a live actual picture here. This is right outside of that residential hall that they all seem to be focused on. But again, you can see police standing and talking, some of them with helmets on, some of them SWAT.
David, I have the best possible news. We are getting the all clear from UMass Boston.
Perfect.
It is great to be able to tell you that tonight. It means all of the sort of relatively relaxed posture we saw in the live picture you were just talking about was that way for a reason. And we've just received the all clear from UMass Boston.
Great job by police and by fire and by EMS. And shout out to all those students who did a great job staying calm, leaving those buildings when they were asked. Police were able to go in and do their jobs. And as Lisa just mentioned, all clear at UMass Boston. And that's good.
That's right. We get a chance to report that with elation tonight.